Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today we are here with a comprehensive list of some of the absolute biggest movie titles that still do not have a 4K physical media release, and we have a lot to talk about on this subject, so pop that tape in, I got you, let's go do this. All right, so today is a little bit of a list, but more of a general discussion because I keep hearing about how we have everything on 4K. A lot of YouTubers that I watch, a lot of people that comment, I kind of keep hearing this similar refrain of, well, there's not much left to put out on 4K. There's not anything else to put out. And I just shake my head. And today we are going to talk about some of the absolute biggest titles that still do not have a 4K. Now, I'm going to run through some of them. This list is huge, and I have numbers to back up the fact that we are not only not done with 4K, that there is also just a countless number of movies that could still come to 4K. And let's just kind of get to those numbers first before we get to all of these titles, these huge titles that still have no 4K. And this list is just going to scratch the surface. But as of August of 2025, there have only been about 3,000 titles released on 4K. And last year was the biggest 4K release yet for an entire year. Let me get that number for you real quick. That was, in 2024, there were 583 unique titles released on 4K. That's it, 583, and that was the biggest year in 4K release history. So the most that's ever been released in a year was last year in 2024 at 583 since they first started coming out in 2016. And we are just now around 3,000 titles. That's it. That is all. So as much as it seems like it, because you're getting a bunch of re-releases and a deluge, you're getting like 10 or 15 new 4K titles a month, in the grand scheme of things, that's not that much. So you got to think, if you even got 20 titles a month for 9 years, that's only about 250 titles a year on average. That doesn't even get you up to 2,500 titles. So to put this in some perspective for you, as of August of 2025, there have been over 294,000 titles released to DVD. It's not a typo. That's a fact. Over 294,000 titles released to DVD. And if you want to compare it to Blu-ray, as of August of 2025, we are approaching 30,000 titles released on Blu-ray. So we don't even have 10% of the Blu-ray catalog moved to 4K. And we only have about 1% of the DVD catalog moved to 4K. So when I hear things like, well, physical media is in its death rattle, or well, there ain't anything else to get, everything's out already, blah, blah, blah. Y'all, like, there is so many movies you're not even thinking about. And today we're going to go over just some of the biggest titles that are missing from 4K. I don't have these in any kind of specific order, but I'm just going to start grabbing some that I think are among the biggest. The Breakfast Club, no 4K. Had the Blu-ray for a while, no 4K. To stay with that, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, no 4K. These are both Criterion, they have 4K scans, no 4K. Pumping Iron, one of the most iconic docudramas of all time, one of the most famous and most money-earning documentaries in history, no 4K. Tons of 35mm footage, no 4K. Staying with Arnold, Eraser, no 4K. Twins, no 4K. Moving to Stallone, Judge Dredd, No 4K. And as a stand-in for all of the rest of the Friday the 13th movies we don't have on 4K yet, how about maybe my favorite, one of my favorite, top two, Friday the 13th, the final chapter, no 4K. We only have a few 4Ks in the Friday series. We do not have them all. Those are huge titles. Talk about huge titles. Let's talk about Quentin Tarantino. No Hateful Eight. No Django Unchained. Neither one of these in 4K. And this was shot in 70 millimeter. This thing would be incredible. You could literally scan this in 12K if you wanted to. This thing could be insane. No Django, no Hateful Eight in 4K. Now, if you want to get technical, this next one we've had 4K releases of, but we have had no official 4K release of the unaltered, despecialized version of the original Star Wars trilogy. None. We have not had that. Now, there's been some people take it on themselves to do bootlegs, but of the original Star Wars unspecialized, despecialized 4K, we do not have it. And many of us, including me, really want that. Interview with the Vampire. No 4K. Huge movie. Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, Kirsten Dunst, Oscar winner. No 4K. One of my favorite, maybe my favorite horror movie of all time, It. The original 1990 series. The best we have is a Blu-ray, a 1080p Blu-ray. We do not have a 4K of it. It was shot on film. This would be an incredible upgrade. It. Still do not have it. How about one that is very hard to believe? These next two, maybe amongst the two biggest titles that do not have 4Ks. Dances with Wolves. Kevin Costner, iconic film, just tons of awards thrown at this thing. And you've got this cool 3D or 3-disc Blu-ray set from Shout. No 4K on this one. And this one is one that could just be beautiful in 4K. And probably I think what the biggest title is out there with no 4K, with no question, because this one won so many Academy Awards, was nominated for so many Academy Awards. The cinematography would be just outrageously gorgeous in 4K. Gone with the Wind. No 4K of Gone with the Wind. Absolutely huge, huge title with no 4K. This film deserves all the pomp and circumstance. Adjusted for inflation, may still be the biggest box office movie of all time. Like, Gone with the Wind should have a 4K. But as I said, this just scratches the surface. We're going to go down a list right here of movies. The Rock, Armageddon, let's see, Commando, the original Clash of the Titans, Teen Wolf, From Dusk Till Dawn, still has no 4K. Big Trouble in Little China, no 4K. Good Will Hunting, no 4K. Gangs of New York, Martin Scorsese, one of my favorite Marty Scorsese movies, no 4K. Troy, no 4K. The Last Samurai in Minority Report, Tom Cruise, no 4K. Pretty Woman, no 4K for Pretty Woman. The Passion of the Christ made billions upon billions of dollars, no 4K. Going on here, I've just got this list all over the place that I was writing things down. Gleaming the Cube. I don't even think there's a Blu-ray of Gleaming the Cube. Son-in-Law, same thing, Pauly Shore. House on Haunted Hill and 13 Ghosts. Those remakes, incredible. Same thing with Valentine. No 4Ks of any of those yet. And I think 13 Ghosts and House on Haunted Hill would be great in 4K. Planet of the Apes, the original Planet of the Apes, no 4K. The Mask, no 4K. The Fly, no 4K. Cronenberg, The Fly, no 4K. The Die Hard sequels, no 4K. And the original one doesn't have like Dolby Vision or anything like that in it either. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, still stuck on DVD, I believe. Pleasantville, great film, would be just beautiful in 4K, the way it's black and white and color. Gone in 60 Seconds, no 4K. Porky's, none of the Porky's movies in 4K. Stargate, no 4K. Ernest, none of the Ernest movies in 4K. The Burbs, no 4K of The Burbs. Great one. Can't Buy Me Love, stuck on DVD to my knowledge. There may be a Blu-ray of that, but no 4K. Encino Man, no 4K. Suburban Commando and Mr. Nanny, no holds barred. I mentioned these as Hulk Hogan just passed, but right before he had passed, I had inquired about the 4K rights. Those are like under New Line, and they're not really doing anything with them, but they don't really want anybody else to do anything with them right now. So I don't know what's going on there. No 4K. Near Dark, no 4K, and only like a overseas Blu-ray on that thing. Young Guns 2, Bon Jovi soundtrack, all that kind of stuff. Emilio Estevez, Christian Slater, Kiefer Sutherland. No 4K of that. The Great Outdoors, John Candy, Dan Aykroyd, great beautiful scenery, no 4K. There's some that have been rumored but haven't come out yet. Gremlins 2, the Blade sequels, none of those on 4K. Boogie Nights, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Con Air. If I didn't mention Armageddon and The Rock, I think I did. European Vacation, no 4K. I actually really like European Vacation too, by the way. Euro Trip, no 4K. The Wedding Singer, Pixels, neither one of those from Adam Sandler, have a 4K. Revenge of the Nerds, no 4K. The Arachnophobia, no 4K. Y'all, this list could go on and on and on as I'm looking down here. Like they mentioned, Commando has been kind of rumored, but we don't have it yet and nothing official on it. This just scratches the surface. This just scratches the surface. I think I just gave you about 70 titles. I mean, right now we're expecting Salem's Lot to show up. It hasn't actually shown up yet, but hopefully it's coming. There are so many movies that you're not like, we're all talking about those late 90s, early 2000s horror films that are kind of getting love. 13 Ghosts and House on Haunted Hill. I really enjoyed those movies. Those came out when I was around 20 years old. Those were fun. I still love those movies. Those would be great 4Ks. None of that stuff. Valentine, I actually think that's an underrated slasher. That's a good one. I'm sitting here looking at all this other stuff that could be brought to 4K. There's no 4K of Ghost Ship. That movie is super intense, especially the beginning of the thing. We're not even getting into movie or TV series. I don't think there's a 4K of Any Given Sunday. There's not a 4K of The Program. Football movies look great in 4K. Frequency, great film. A very underrated film. No 4K on that one. I'm just sitting over here looking at stuff. Legend, we might not be able to get a 4K because of the elements of that, but that's another big one. The Blu-ray looks great, but I know there was some problem with the elements, but we've heard that about Life Force too, and eventually the other cut of Life Force, and we eventually got it. So many damn movies. And so I hear all the time, oh, well, what else are they going to do? Like, I mean, right now I'm sitting over here looking at other Screen Factory Blu-rays that I have at stuff that they're still just now bringing up to Blu-ray. Like Summer Rental just now got the Blu-ray from Kino. There's movies like Club Dread and Beer Fest and stuff like that. All these movies, there are movies everywhere that could get a 4K. So when I hear we've got everything on 4K, I just shake my head. No, you have about 1% of the movies that have been released on disc on 4K. About 1%. And you only have about 10% of the library that was released on Blu-ray to be on 4K. Now, all of those may not be able, but like, let's say you cut the Blu-ray by 25%. You're still looking at another 15,000 4Ks to come, and it's taken us 9.5 years to get 3,000. So at 600 a year, you're talking about another 25 years at releasing 600 a year before you get to even a percentage of the Blu-ray. And if you stayed at 600 a year, to get to 30,000 would take you damn how many more years? 50 years or some shit? Like, But $1,000 a year for 30 years would be 30,000. So, I mean, it's going to take you quite a long time. My point is, math aside, off the top of my head, that I really shouldn't do, there are so many titles that could be on 4K. Don't let people dissuade you by them being miserable and having a bleak outlook and just wanting to be pessimistic and negative for clicks and shit talk people and all that kind of stuff. There are tons of movies to come to 4K still, more than you can even think of. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, My Science Project, Space Camp. You could just, if you start down that road, you could just go on and on and on and on with 4Ks. And that's not even getting into the classics. Ben-Hur. There's all kinds of movies that could benefit from a 4K. And the whole, we don't need that on 4K. I am never one to buy into that, because I'm old enough to remember how many thousands of movies are lost to time because they didn't make the jump from VHS to DVD. And then you lose even more when they go from DVD to Blu-ray. We do not need to keep losing movies. I'm about film preservation. Go back to all of those movies now that we have the wherewithal to restore them, and restore them so that they have a new life again going forward. Because I'm going to tell you, film will dissolve eventually, and those movies will just be lost to time forever. So you will never hear me say, we don't need that on 4K. I don't agree with that outlook at all, because you can lose that movie forever. You'll lose it forever. And it'll just be something that's a footnote in history that people won't even remember exists, and there'll be no way to go back to it. So I am not a part of that, we don't need that on 4K crew. Do we really need that on 4K crew? I'm not a part of that. I am not a part of that. So I think everything that could be restored needs to be restored to 4K. But don't let people, and you know, if you buy Blu-rays now, new Blu-rays, you know, you proceed with caution. You have to decide if the juice is worth the squeeze on that. I definitely recommend buying 4K Blu-ray combos whenever you can. I know there's a lot of talk right now about Black Sunday with Scream Factory being released, the Bava film, because it was recently just a month ago, was a Blu-ray in the like 10 or 12 movie set of the Bava box set of Blu-rays. Here's the thing, y'all. That Blu-ray had been out for years. It wasn't like they just released a standalone Blu-ray of that for the first time ever that got a Blu-ray, and then they screwed you over by next month releasing a 4K. That movie had been out on Blu-ray a long time, and it already had a 4K available from overseas. So there's already a 4K of it that existed. They just included it as one of the Blu-ray movies in that package. You could have already bought a standalone Blu-ray. You could have already bought a 4K. So they're not trying to cheat you out or anything else. I also kind of have a problem with people saying, oh, well, they're taking advantage of you. Listen, y'all, you do not have to, I don't know how to stress this. As a collector, and if you guys watch me and you think I buy everything, I do not buy everything. I can't buy everything, number one. I'm not interested to buy every single thing. You are not required to buy everything. You're just not. So just because they release something doesn't mean you have to buy it. So they're not twisting your arm. They're not twisting your arm at all. You could wait. You can say, I don't want that. Like, I could get the standalone Blu-ray of this one, this one, this one. They're just putting it together in a set. But if you decide to buy in late 2025 a Blu-ray set of movies where a lot of Blu-rays are already out and some of them already have 4Ks, you can't really get mad if a 4K comes out later, because that Blu-ray's been out for a long time. You're deciding to buy that set where it's all together. And there's nothing wrong with that. But just so you know, these companies are in business to make a profit, and they have to take some of those films that they already own and they have to re-release them in other formats, because They need to make the most off the money, most money off the movies they already have paid for that they can in order to be in profit, but also to use revenue generated from those to buy new licenses for new films to give you. So if you don't just want everything to be rehashed, they're going to have to do that. Not only that, there are also new collectors coming in all the time. Just because you've been collecting for 5 years, or I've been collecting a long time, or whatever, we're trying to expand this and get new people in. And if new people come in and all the good shit is sold out and they can't get it again, they're not going to stay around. They're like, oh, well, I didn't start years ago, so I can't get any of the good stuff. So having new stuff released will get that new market in here, and it will give you the option to get an alternate version of something that you have. They're not making you buy it. Understand that. You're not required. They're not out here with, a gun to your head saying, we're releasing this and you have to buy it. So give us your money. They're not doing that. That's on you to decide what you're going to buy. So blaming other people, I just don't embrace victimhood that way. And I don't embrace being a victim that way. I decide what I want to buy when I want to buy it. That's it. And if something comes out later, I've used the analogy before. If you buy a new car this year and next year they're going to come out with a new version, it's going to have a little something above what you already have. Is that them taking advantage of you, or is that just them progressing over time, getting new customers, getting old customers to upgrade? Man, that's just business. That's nobody taking advantage of you. So kill all that noise and go cry somewhere else, because that's nobody's making you buy it. You're not being made to buy it. So I will say it gets frustrating when I'm less frustrated when a company, I'm not that frustrated when a company that had a Blu-ray of a movie releases a 4K. That's an upgrade. It gets more aggravating when they're passing the titles around to each other. So you get a 4K of it from 88 Films. You get a 4K of it from Arrow. You get a 4K of it from Vinegar Syndrome. You get a 4K of it from Shout Studios. That's more annoying, because it's man, there's a lot. Let's break some new ground. But they're all just trying to get what they can off of usually that one restoration. And it's cheap to do. So, and they're trying to make profit to get other titles. I get that. But there needs to at least be some windows in here. That's probably my biggest issue. And I don't feel compelled to buy all those at all. But it's just okay, we keep passing, or don't keep passing around the same titles when there's new ground to break. So I can deal with a little bit of that, because I know you need to raise revenue and capital to get new titles. But it doesn't need to be overwhelming avalanche of re-releases by every company. Give it some air and break some new ground, because like I said, we've only got around 3,000 titles on 4K, and to catch up to Blu-ray, we got about 27,000 titles to get to just to catch up to Blu-ray. Forget DVD. Just to catch up to Blu-ray, we got about 27,000 titles to go. So if half the releases in a year are re-releases from different companies, it's slower going. And that can lead to burnout and frustration, and that's totally understandable. But I am never upset when somebody upgrades a Blu-ray to a 4K, because I always want everything upgraded so that it is preserved going forward. And understand, they are in a business to make money. They are not in a business to just break even and give you all the things that you want. It would be cool, man, but nobody can live that way. So they're in business to make money and give you what you want, not to break even or lose money and give you everything you want. They can't sustain a business that way. So you have to keep that in mind. I am never upset with a Blu-ray to 4K upgrade, because as you can see, and it doesn't even scratch the surface, I just finally got tired of writing down titles, and I'm like, this is insane. So pay no attention to naysayers and people who just want to be negative and complain and drag other people down and be miserable by saying this is the end, it's a death rattle, there's nothing left to come out, all that stuff. That's people they're being miserable, and they want other people to be miserable, and they want to be negative for clicks, because it's just not true. And the numbers and the facts just don't back it up. Now, they might be in their own little micro bubble of there's not that many things they care about, but that's them. That's one person. And I would hazard a guess that if a lot more of these big titles came out, they would suddenly find themselves in the market for them. So be positive. Be positive. There is a lot ahead of us in this game, and it's just getting better all the time. And that's what I got for you. Just a nice little Friday discussion here. I got a big list out right now. Make sure you check out my retrospective on the 10 greatest, most legendary cult films to ever be in the late night drive-in with Joe Bob Briggs and all that, as we got a Joe Bob Briggs physical media announcement. I was super excited about that. That video I worked really hard on, and that one's going to take you down memory lane. And then on Saturday, I'll have one of those other big hitter, massive recommendations lists, so get ready. Lots of things to come, and I hope you'll all be here for it. Like and subscribe. That really helps out the channel. You can join at my Patreon link and get your name and lights on every video just like this one, and behind the scenes looks at my filmmaking, uncensored videos, special chats, all kinds of things, and it really helps out the channel. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.